The previous discussion revealed a harsh truth: tomatoes aren't just food or flavor, they are a matter of strategic survival. A nation that grows its own harvest controls its food supply and avoids giving neighbors the power to squeeze it. But today, Russia's dependence smells humiliating, like a bitter reminder of lost strength. Now, picture this: almost all of Azerbaijan's vegetable exports flood into Russia's markets. Russia, the main source of their profits, receives no gratitude. Instead, Moscow faces open complaints and blatant disrespect. The Azerbaijani community has deeply embedded itself in Russian cities. They dominate trade, control deliveries, and decide prices. This isn't a fair market, it's a monopoly built on political favoritism and ethnic ties. The tragic outcome? Russian consumers end up footing the bill for someone else's political ambitions. Meanwhile, local farmers are pushed out of their own fields, becoming silent spectators watching their lands taken over. This imbalance did not appear by chance, it's carefully maintained. But behind closed doors, a silent order has arrived from the highest seats of power. Its message is clear and sharp: revive domestic production, and put an end to the idea that Russia is just a piggy bank for outsiders. Ironically, this task is far from impossible. Tomatoes don't demand rocket science, nor the complexity of advanced electronics. They need soil, warmth, and some basic technology. Russia has all that, still lying dormant. History reminds us that even Soviet-era children collected thousands of tons of vegetables. Canning factories once hummed day and night, supplying schools, factories, whole cities. Now, those factories lie in ruins. Glasshouses stand abandoned. Fertile lands are replowed for grain fields. The nation turned itself into a buyer of food it can produce. This isn't just an economic blunder. It's a dangerous vulnerability. Restarting greenhouse agriculture isn't a luxury, it's a key to solving several crises at once. First, it guarantees food security. Second, it creates jobs, especially in regions burdened by unemployment. Third, it puts a leash on runaway prices and tames inflation. Fourth, it creates a fresh export potential. After saturation of the domestic market, surplus crops could be shipped abroad. That means flipping the script, transforming a current weakness into a powerful tool of influence, Russia pressuring others, not the other way around. The south of Russia and the Krasnodar region hold a treasure trove of possibility. Vast kilometers of greenhouses could rise. They could harness natural hot springs, tap into mountain rivers' energy, and soak up abundant sunlight all year round. The raw materials are there. The question remains: can this potential be unleashed before the clock runs out? Previously, we explored how the surplus of homegrown produce could turn dependence into leverage, shifting power to Russia's side. The Caucasus and the Krasnodar region hold incredible untapped potential, vast opportunities to build greenhouses stretching for kilometers, harnessing hot springs, mountain rivers, and sunlight to fuel agricultural rebirth. Now imagine entire valleys in Chechnya transformed into thriving farmland, where fertile soil meets innovation. With strategic investment in infrastructure, logistics, and market access, the impact could be staggering, visible within a single year. True, at first, prices might surpass those of imports. But is freedom ever free? Patriotism isn't just slogans shouted from rooftops. It's measured in the choice to support local producers with every purchase. Buying domestically grown tomatoes strengthens not just the farmer but the backbone of national security and the very economy itself. No great nation has ever risen by relying on neighbors' fields. Today's technology allows year-round growing, even in less hospitable places. Take the Netherlands. Though the climate there is far less forgiving than southern Russia's, it leads the world in greenhouse vegetable exports. If a small country can dominate the market with such limitations, what is stopping a giant like Russia from feeding itself? The barrier isn't the land or climate, it's a tangled web of vested interests. Import networks rake in profits that flow upstream to middlemen and retail giants. Diaspora groups cement their influence, monopolizing trade markets and supply channels. Meanwhile, local farmers get squeezed out, denied fair market access, paid next to nothing for their crops while exotic vegetables, overpriced, dominate store shelves. This is the system that must be broken. New regulations need to favor domestic producers over foreign intermediaries. Without fundamental change, no secret orders or whispered directives will alter the outcome. The struggle over tomatoes extends beyond agriculture. It has morphed into a symbol of geopolitical sovereignty. When a nation cannot feed itself, it sits vulnerable on the global stage. Don't forget the conservatories, the canning factories once vital, supplying armies, schools, hospitals all year round. Today, nearly all have crumbled. Equipment sold as scrap, buildings left to dust. Reviving this industry is another crucial piece of the independence puzzle. What if, right now, the state turned from words to deeds? What if it stopped allowing profit-driven import schemes to dictate survival? The stakes are nothing less than the very soul of a nation's future. But will those holding the reins dare to relinquish control? The battle for tomatoes is just beginning, and its next chapter could reshape everything. What happens if these whispers grow louder? Will Russia reclaim its place or remain a hostage to foreign harvests? In a world where nations compete fiercely for self-sufficiency, Russia stands at a crucial crossroads. The sovereignty of a nation is intricately linked to its ability to produce food for its own people. Unfortunately, the reality is stark: dependence on imports can leave a country vulnerable to external pressures. This renewed battle for tomatoes, a staple crop, has become emblematic of a larger geopolitical struggle, a fight for complete autonomy. But what happens when an entire industry is nearly wiped out? Once, canning factories were pillars of the economy, ensuring a steady supply of food to support schools, hospitals, and the military throughout the year. Today, however, nearly all of them lay in ruins. Equipment sold for scrap metal, buildings now serve as mere warehouses. The revival of this critical production sector isn't just a luxury, it's a pressing necessity. Fresh produce has a limited shelf life, but canned goods can sustain a population for an entire year. Agriculture focused on the domestic market holds immense potential for regional development. Imagine the Caucasus republics, regions historically plagued by unemployment, transforming into vibrant centers of agricultural production. In the Kuban region, blessed with fertile land and favorable weather, a revolution in vegetable cultivation could take place, offering not just economic benefits but social stability as well. With new jobs on the horizon, communities can cultivate hope and secure a brighter future. Food policy transcends mere nutrition, it embodies national identity. When people consume their own produce, it sends a powerful message of self-reliance and dignity. It declares that a nation will not be beholden to the whims of neighboring powers or the vagaries of international trade. The path to achieving this vision will not be swift. It requires significant investment, structural changes in agriculture, and a concerted effort from federal and regional authorities. Yet the potential outcome could exceed all expectations, an independent Russia not only freeing itself from foreign dependence but also creating a flourishing industry that brings jobs and profits. With 98% of Azerbaijani agricultural products entering the Russian market, the absurdity of the situation is glaring. Russia is feeding a foreign economy while receiving mockery and demands in return. This cannot continue. Food security should never be a bargaining chip, it must be the cornerstone of national strategy. The unspoken order from higher authorities to regain control is a pivotal acknowledgement that it's time to act. Will Russia seize this moment to reclaim its agricultural independence, or will it remain a prisoner of its import reliance? The struggle for tomatoes is just the beginning in a larger quest for sovereignty. Over the past few months, the loud whispers have turned into an urgent call. It's time to ramp up tomato production in Russia. People are growing restless with the dependency on foreign markets, and farmers are demanding support. The Kremlin has quietly signaled that the time has come for Russia, particularly the regions of Dagestan and Krasnodar, to become self-sufficient in tomato production. This is about regaining control over local markets and emphasizing food sovereignty. Imagine the sound of tractors rumbling through sun-drenched fields, ripe tomatoes bursting with flavor. The question arises, Why should Russia invest in foreign produce when it can nurture its own crops? Russia has the climate and resources. The days when schools relied on local produce might return, but only if action is taken to rejuvenate the agricultural infrastructure that has crumbled over the years. As foreign supplies dominate, the audacity of some partners grows, treating Russia as a mere market to exploit. The irony is palpable: when a nation relies on others for essentials, it loses power and respect. To reclaim its dignity, Russia must re-establish its agricultural roots. Rebuilding local production isn't an act of nostalgia, it's a critical necessity. Tomatoes may not require advanced technology like aerospace engines do, but they do need land, warmth, and minimal resources. Think back to the Soviet era, when even schoolchildren rallied together to gather a staggering 1,000 tons of vegetables. Today, the potential for similar achievements exists. A compelling fact emerges: nearly all Azerbaijani vegetables flood into Russia, reinforcing this great economic exchange that benefits others while leaving local farmers out. When did it become acceptable for Russian consumers to foot the bill for someone else's political whims? There's an urgent need to turn these grievances into measurable actions. Let's connect energy to cultivation. The southern regions of Russia boast warmth, sunlight, and the necessary infrastructure to support a thriving greenhouse industry. But this requires more than just hope. It necessitates favorable energy tariffs for greenhouse clusters, ensuring a predictable cost for producers. Step 1 is clear: reclaim the energy advantage. Establish fixed contracts with energy companies that will provide affordable heating solutions for greenhouses. Pair this with modernization initiatives that optimize every degree of efficiency, channeling wasted energy back into production, ultimately leading to an abundance of crops and job creation. Furthermore, the resurgence of advanced greenhouses cannot be overlooked. This is not about flimsy plastic structures, it's about implementing precision technology, climate control, irrigation systems, and biological pest defenses. By requiring a blend of public and private investment, Russia could forge a path towards agricultural resilience. Can Russia transform its narrative from dependency to empowerment? As this story unfolds, the stakes rise higher. The question remains: will the nation rise to reclaim its agricultural future, or remain a silent pawn in a global game? In the previous segment, we explored how improving energy efficiency in greenhouses could lead to increased yields and job creation. High-tech greenhouses rely on constant light, optimal climate control, and advanced irrigation systems, moving beyond simple structures. Now, let's dive into the crucial role of technology, investment, and support mechanisms in transforming agricultural productivity. Imagine a vibrant greenhouse, teeming with life. Here, every drop of energy is converted into bountiful harvests. Depending on federal initiatives, 20 to 30% of capital costs can be offset by supportive funding. But it's not just about subsidies. It's about strategic investments in local technology, from glass panels to cutting-edge automation systems. What if we focus on creating tangible performance indicators? Yield per hectare, energy consumption, defect rates, and adherence to quality standards could shift the landscape of agricultural production. Next comes the vital issue of seeds and plant protection. Without local selection and reproduction, greenhouses become mere consumers of foreign genetic resources. Instead, an aggressive application project must prioritize hybrid development, resilient against European corn borer and diseases. Simultaneously, scaling up soft biological control methods, utilizing organic pesticides and integrated pest management, becomes essential. Can we step away from expensive chemistry while meeting international export standards? Logistics play a pivotal role too. A tomato harvested at peak ripeness and rapidly cooled retains both flavor and market value. Therefore, around these greenhouse clusters, a systematic approach to sorting, pre-cooling, packaging, and labeling must be established. Imagine a network of joint services ensuring uniform calibration and packaging standards, facilitating acceptance in trade networks. Then there's the urgent need for fair play in market dynamics. Rather than imposing bans, a clear framework for quotas and transparent import corridors should be delineated. When local products are available, they should be prioritized. In quieter seasons, imports could fill gaps based on a fair mechanism. How do we guarantee that government orders for schools, hospitals, and military uses become a priority? Now, as we delve deeper into this intricate web of opportunities, the question remains, will we seize this moment to redefine agricultural sovereignty? Or will we remain playthings in the hands of distant producers? The path ahead is fraught with complexities, yet illuminating. In the previous part, we explored how the delicate balance between domestic production and imports hinges on clear, predefined quotas and seasonal import corridors. Priority is given to local goods once available, while imports fill gaps transparently during off-seasons, no shadow deals deciding who supplies the market. This system ensures reliable deliveries for schools, hospitals, and the military, relying on consistent quality and predictable supply. Now, imagine a world where tomato cultivation isn't a gamble but a science, backed by solid, long-term contracts, not chaotic daily auctions won by whoever slashes prices today to raise them tomorrow. Picture this, trade sealed for the year, with strict quality and logistics standards that guarantee stability. No wild price swings, no sudden shortages. Could such order finally revive an industry long neglected? But the real heartbeat of this vision is people. A greenhouse isn't just a glass shell, it's a demanding profession. Training centers in Makhachkala, Grozny, Mozdok, and Armavir would produce specialists, light agronomists, climate control technicians, drip irrigation masters. A network raising a skilled workforce, ready to return from big cities, drawn by steady income and housing near these agri-clusters. Could this resurgent community breathe new life into forgotten lands? This leads us to processing, the hidden powerhouse that stabilizes prices when harvests flood the markets. Without canneries and puree factories, farmers will face crushing price crashes and waste. The answer? Rational, localized processing circuits producing sauces, pastes, dried goods near the clusters. Markets and online platforms would push these products beyond borders, adding value instead of selling raw oversupply at a loss. Imagine transforming tomatoes into a year-round business, not a seasonal gamble. Fair competition becomes the next battlefield. Controlling cartels is not about ethnicity, it's about law enforcement. Antitrust rules, hefty fines, disqualifications, and blacklists enforced on a transparent digital platform where contracts, volumes, and prices are visible to all. When rules clear the fog, only honest work remains. Could this digital watchdog finally level the playing field dominated by monopolies tied to political loyalties? Export potential must not be ignored. Trade with Eurasian neighbors, the Middle East, and Central Asia demands strict phytosanitary compliance, digital tracking, laboratory certification, and rapid border clearance. Quality certificates aren't luxury papers but passports to external markets. Any attempt to fake standards means a market shutdown, for everyone. How can Russian tomatoes conquer foreign shelves without rigid control? Finally, success isn't about slogans but measurable targets tied to accountable leaders. Within a year, the goal is 100 hectares of modern greenhouses in southern regions. This is the countdown ticking away, promising to transform ambitions into tangible results. Will this vision become reality, or fall to old habits and interests too deeply woven into the system? The answer could reshape Russia's food sovereignty forever. Do tomatoes hold the key to breaking chains of dependency and rewriting the nation's economic future? The next steps are crucial, and the clock is already running. In a landscape ripe with opportunity, the quest for local tomato production begins to unravel a tale of resilience and national pride. The murmurs are growing louder, farmers insist it's time to shift the balance of power back into their hands. The frustration with dependency on foreign supplies has reached a tipping point. The whispers in the halls of authority reveal that a secret directive has emerged from the very top echelons of power. The Kremlin's signal is clear: regions like Dagestan and the Krasnodar territory must pivot towards mass tomato cultivation. But why does this matter? For years, Russia has been feeding another economy, buying vegetables from those who relish exploiting its dependency. The stakes are high. This isn't merely about culinary preferences or agricultural norms. It's an urgent call for strategic sovereignty. Can Russia reclaim its place as a food producer? With the right climate and resources, it possesses the capacity to grow tomatoes on an industrial scale. So what stops them? Imported goods have submerged the market, uprooting local farmers and letting foreign suppliers thrive at their expense. The absurdity of this situation is glaring. Azerbaijan has become almost entirely dependent on the Russian market for its agriculture, turning Moscow into a cash cow without recognition or gratitude. This issue transcends mere economics. It has become a matter of respect, identity, and autonomy. The Azerbaijani diaspora controls trade markets, inflating prices while local producers crumble under the weight of competition that is neither fair nor just. Thus, the order from above aims to reset this precarious balance. The intention is simple: revive domestic production and reclaim the local market from those who perceive Russia as a mere handout. But how can they achieve this transition? It's not as complicated as one might think. Tomatoes don't require advanced technology, just fertile land and warmth. The history of the Soviet era had successful cultivators producing massive outputs, even from schoolchildren. Yet today, this rich legacy has crumbled, fields lie barren and greenhouses decay. Russia has transitioned into a nation reliant on imports for what it could easily grow itself. This dependency isn't just an economic blunder, it's a strategic vulnerability that threatens the very essence of sovereignty. Rebuilding the greenhouse operations will not only address food security, it presents a chance to generate jobs, particularly in economically challenged regions. Imagine the sun-soaked greenhouses blooming in the south, turning out fresh produce year-round. The overwhelming flavor of ripe tomatoes filled with sunshine could soon become a daily reality for every household. Transitioning from dependency to self-sufficiency is not just an economic project, it's a declaration of independence. Yet, the path is fraught with challenges. Rising energy costs, evolving plant diseases, and the constant need for innovation loom large. Water, the lifeblood of agriculture, must be treated with respect through modern recycling and irrigation systems. Without these advancements, any effort to flourish will stagnate at the first hurdle. Governance is crucial here. This agricultural renaissance must not devolve into a personal venture of the politically connected, it must embody a collective of independent growers with transparent operations. Moreover, the dialogue surrounding import substitution must avoid falling into xenophobia. Collaboration remains vital, but under a framework that prioritizes the needs of the Russian consumer and producer over arbitrary middlemen profits. What will result from these changes? A more independent market, stabilized prices, and the creation of tens of thousands of jobs in Dagestan, Chechnya, and Krasnodar. The revitalization of factories and fair competition will follow. In the end, this endeavor may unlock fresh avenues for export, turning surplus goods into revenue rather than waste. Yet, patience is essential. The road ahead isn't easy but remains clear. Greenhouses require energy, knowledge demands cultivation, rules must govern all stakeholders, and success must be measured in tangible figures. With renewed determination, the question now becomes, can Russia's tomato growing initiative redefine its future? The answer could reshape the very fabric of the nation. In this critical moment, the turmoil surrounding tomatoes signifies a deeper struggle for sovereignty and self-sufficiency within a nation. The excessive reliance on foreign produce has reached an absurd peak, turning farmers into pawns in a game of political leverage. While a nation wrestles with the humiliation of feeding an external economy, its own market is slowly suffocated by imported goods. It is time for change, and the message is loud and clear. Imagine a vast agricultural landscape where tomatoes flourish without the burden of foreign dependency. The plan is not just a dream but a meticulously crafted strategy for revitalization. It's a call to awaken internal production and cultivate a relationship between the soil and the people. This isn't merely about food, it's about establishing respect and dignity in food production. The government has expressed its intentions indirectly, signaling a shift to end the absurdity of prioritizing imports over local production. This transformation entails reconnecting with fundamental truths about agricultural capabilities. Russia possesses the perfect climate for cultivating tomatoes on a large scale. The reinvigoration of greenhouses can restore a once thriving agricultural economy, supporting schools, industries, and cities like before. The time has come to remember the past and act to secure the future. Every Russian should reflect on a crucial question: what will it take to end this exploitative cycle? The newfound focus on tomatoes symbolizes a vital quest for strategic independence. By growing its vegetables, a nation can fortify its food security and liberate itself from external pressures. When local producers thrive, consumers gain more than just access to fresh produce, they contribute to the strength of their own economy. However, the path won't be easy. Investment in infrastructure, quality control, and education for upcoming generations is essential. We need agricultural colleges preparing specialists in climate control and irrigation techniques. The future relies on the hands of skilled technicians who will not only cultivate food but also nurture local economies. Beyond this, the need for processing facilities cannot be overlooked. Without a robust network of canneries and food processing plants, farmers will be vulnerable to market fluctuations and loss during harvest peaks. It is time to institutionalize stability by producing sauces and dried products right next to greenhouses, allowing surpluses to be converted into value-added goods. Ultimately, the restoration of local agriculture is a matter of national importance. It's about making markets less dependent on foreign whims and more resilient against price volatility. It's about embedding fairness within commerce, allowing every farmer the chance to thrive on equal terms. The transition starts here. With measured goals, the establishment of transparent processes, and a commitment to sustainable practices, this ambition can become reality. The spectacular transformation hinges on the successful implementation of strategies that enhance agricultural capacity while ensuring fairness across the board. In the end, imagine the irony: a once import-dependent country rising to become a beacon of self-sufficiency. What if the surplus generates revenue instead of waste? A nation that can sustain itself, nurturing its identity through its produce, is a nation empowered to dictate its terms rather than bow to the caprices of others. What will the future hold for this agricultural endeavor? Will we witness a renaissance of independence, or will the battle for tomatoes symbolize an even greater conflict over control, identity, and survival? The stage is set, and the stakes have never been higher. Now is the moment for action, and the question remains: will the remnants of old practices give way to a future ripe with potential? Have you ever wondered why a nation rich in fertile land relies on foreign produce? Imagine a situation where a country's economy is strung along by the whims of distant partners. This is precisely what is happening in Russia today. For months, murmurs have grown into an uproar: it's time to confront the tomato power from Azerbaijan and support local farmers. Society is weary of dependency, an unwanted yoke weighing down its markets. Unbeknownst to many, a quiet yet powerful directive has echoed from the heights of authority. The Kremlin has signaled a crucial shift. The Caucasus region, particularly Dagestan and Krasnodar Krai, is now urged to focus on large-scale tomato cultivation. Though no formal decree has passed, every governor knows the unwritten rule: it's time to end the absurd narrative where Russia feeds another economy while bolstering their grip over ours. This isn't merely a matter of production, it's a call to restore sovereignty. The essence of this command reverberates like a whisper transforming into a rallying cry: the time for reliance upon capricious partners has ended. Russia has the means to feed itself, yet this natural advantage has eroded, overshadowed by imports and the machinations of trade intermediaries. The moment has come to reclaim the fundamentals. So, what's at stake? The southern regions of Russia boast exceptional climate and energy conditions perfect for industrial-scale tomato farming. This isn't about traditional farms alone. Think greenhouses harnessed with cost-effective heating from power plants. The Soviet era understood this well. Greenhouses supplied schools, factories, and entire cities with fresh produce. Today, that system lies in ruin, yet its revival is more than feasible, it's imperative. But let's clarify, tomatoes aren't just a culinary concern, they represent strategic sovereignty. A nation that can cultivate its own crops holds sway over its food supply, free from the leverage of its neighbors, and today's humiliating reliance starkly contrasts its potential. With the right strategies and investments, Russia could transition from dependency to empowerment, reclaiming its agricultural dignity while fostering local economies. The feeling of independence, driven by pride in local produce, is not just a vision, it's a necessity for survival. As we stand at this pivotal crossroads, how will Russia reshape its future? Will it take bold steps toward agricultural self-sufficiency, or continue its reliance on external forces? The answer lies ahead as we embark on this transformative journey. In recent months, a clamor has erupted demanding a change in the dynamics of the agricultural market, especially concerning tomato production. Frustration is brewing among the populace, tired of this suffocating dependency. This reliance has morphed into a tool of external pressure, leading to calls for justice in local markets. There are whispers in the corridors of power hinting that an unspoken directive has come from the highest levels. A strategic signal has been sent from the Kremlin, urging the Caucasus, notably Dagestan and Krasnodar, to intensify their focus on mass tomato cultivation. No formal decrees have been issued, yet the message resonates with every regional leader. How absurd is it that Russia continues to nourish another economy by sourcing vegetables from those who exploit its dependency? This directive isn't a simple piece of paper or a bureaucratic order. It's an echoing whisper growing into a resonant call to action. No longer shall Russia bend to the whims of Caucasian partners. It is time to reclaim market self-sufficiency. Historically, Russia has always held the capacity to feed itself. However, at some point, this natural advantage was surrendered to imports and convoluted trading networks. Imagine the vast expanse of the south of Russia, blessed with optimal climate and energy resources, capable of producing tomatoes on an industrial scale. It's not just about conventional fields, modern greenhouse complexes can be linked to cost-effective heat sources from power plants. This technique was well understood and utilized during Soviet times, enabling greenhouses to flourish, supplying schools, enterprises, and entire cities with fresh produce. While this system has faltered, its revival is not only feasible, it's necessary. The issue at hand transcends mere culinary preferences. It's about strategic sovereignty. A nation that can cultivate its harvest commands its food base and mitigates external pressure. Today's situation is not just unsustainable, it is humbling. The dependency on Azerbaijani imports is a glaring weakness. Why should Russia's consumers face rising prices for imported goods when they can enjoy locally grown tomatoes? This challenge is more than agricultural, it embodies a foundational question of national identity and power. Now is the moment to act. The revival of domestic production isn't a whim, it's an urgent necessity. As global crises loom, a country unable to feed itself remains vulnerable. The fight for tomato independence reflects a struggle for sovereignty. Russia must emerge as a self-sufficient nation, dictating terms instead of capitulating to foreign whims. The call for action is clear, but will society rise to meet this challenge? The clock is ticking, and the stakes have never been higher.